is Nuvo technology. New is Nuvoco.
Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now Sell Now on ET Now, and time for a viewer queries. A very good morning for all the viewers who are actually logged in, as well as Alex. I missed wishing you good morning as well, and happy Friday to all those who've tuned in. Let's get on board with our first viewer query then, and this one is coming in from Abhishek. He's saying that he has a Zee Entertainment which he's purchased at 220 rupees per share. He's saying that he's seeing about 10% loss in this particular portfolio of Zee Entertainment stocks that he's holding. So he wants to know, should he continue to hold on to the stock, and if so, what sort of target should he look at? Kunal, what's your view on Zee Entertainment, and what should Abhishek actually do?
So Cheryl, if you look at the overall formation of the counter right from August till now, that's been almost a year now, the counter is consistently making the higher bottoms, but at the same time the prices are still within the consolidation itself. So in this consolidation, it's actually difficult to hold on to the counters for long because we don't know when the breakout is gonna be. As of now, in today's session, the stock is trading at the day's high, and the formation on the charts are of hammer on the daily chart. So it looks like the temporary bottom is already in place. I would request him to stay invested on this counter, hold on to this counter in the medium term, expect say around a 230 kind of zone. But the massive rally on this counter is expected only once this counter crosses 235. So yes, for time being, take an exit once the bounce comes in, but reinitiate a buy once the stock takes out 235 zone.
Okay, we've got a question coming in from Rahul, and Rahul has bought 200 shares of Zomato at levels of 128 per share. He's asking Sharmila, and obviously I would come to you on this one, whether he can hold for 6 to 12 months. Now, the thesis that a lot of people had when they bought into Zomato, and even the institutional guys, is that this is a play for the next decade. Is that something that you think is better than holding for 6 to 12 months?
There are a couple of factors which have attracted people to Zomato. One is obviously what you're saying, that this is a play for the next 10-15 years. Also, I think we don't have really anything listed on that sort of purely fintech platform, which is a very like an in sort of a thing which you see globally. That's the theme that's playing out, and most of these companies are not turning in profits, and they're talking of all kinds of avenues in which they can expand and grow in the coming years. So yes, I think given the kind of expectation and the way they have really taken their business to this level, I think you can take a chance and stay invested for the next 6 to 12 months, because there is no valuation matrix really to sort of judge this stock by, because it's sort of double from what their IPO price was, and it's already in some fantastic valuation space. So the whole story is what you can expect, and obviously I think there are many ways in which they can take their business forward and expand it. So I think it makes sense to stay invested for the next 6 to 12 months.
Right, this next query is coming in from Sapna, and she wants a long-term view on NIIT Limited. What's your view on this particular counter, Sharmila? Looks good over the longer term?
So, I think that one of the sort of the way I would look at it is that, in terms of PE, the stock is comfortably placed, as well as numbers have been fairly okay. So, yes, I think if you're a long-term investor, you can stay invested in NI.
Okay, let's talk about Tata Motors. And I think a lot has been said on this program as well about the fundamental nature of the stock. Let's talk about the short term then. We've got a question coming in from Magesh, and he's bought at levels of 330, Kunal. Should he hold on?
So, Alex, if I look at the last 6 to 8 months formation, right from 1st Feb, the counter is consistently making the bottom of 280, goes up and makes the high of around 350. again comes down and makes the bottom at around 280. So this is a kind of sideways consolidation just 2 days back. That's on 28th of July. You can see the bottom on that day was 283 again, and the counter has taken a bounce from there, that level itself. So yes, certainly it's a great hold as of now. But remember that this range, once taken out on the higher side, a new rally will emerge. And till then, we enter into a short-term trade. So as of now, also, if our viewer wants to average out, yes, you can buy at 298, keep the stop loss of 280 positionally, and expect the target of around 350. The day this counter goes and closes about 355 kind of zone, we are expecting a massive rally to continue again.
All right, this one is coming in from Santi. He's asking about Sunteck Realty. He's already bought about 150 shares at an average price of 274 rupees per share. Please suggest some near-term expected targets and also a good exit price in case this particular counter will see a fall from these levels. Kunal, what's your take on Sunteck Realty? If you track the stock, what sort of a target should Santi look at?
See, Cheryl, the entire segment saw a very good buying coming in, and this traction in this counter is not an exception again. So yes, it's indeed a great buy at this level also. But our viewer has taken an entry at the very bottom level. I really appreciate that. January 2021, the high was at around 390, and the similar high was made somewhere in Feb. That's 385, 390. Right now, the counter has given a decisive breakout above that zone. So yes, stay invested. Keep the stop loss of around 375 and continue holding this counter. This is in a massive curve formation, and this curve formation is likely to show you the target of around 450 kind of zone. So yes, from short term perspective, hold on to it, keep the stop loss of 370 and keep the target of approximately 450 in mind. Once the counter reaches that level, please revisit the show again and ask some other person who is available that time. I think this can be a great hold even from the mid to long term perspective.
Okay, Sharmila, Kotak Mahindra Bank, we've got Sayak Sen Gupta, who says that he's a new investor and bought at levels of 1700. Interesting comments coming in from Mr. Kotak himself about not staying too far away from risk. Is this a sign of a turnaround in the approach to lending for the bank, and do you think that the prospects are good from here on out?
I think among the sort of newly, which is a comparative term, of course, the sort of newly listed bank, Kotak has sort of proved itself, with the kind of numbers that they've given. And I think if they take a little more risk, I think it would, perhaps this is the correct time to do it. And I think, Mr. Uday Kotak is sort of respected as one of the best voices we have in banking today, so they probably know better. But I think, all these banks, whether we talk of an ICICI Bank, Kotak Bank or an HDFC Bank, in terms of valuations, they do look a little expensive. But if you are in the stock for the long term, that's the only reason to really buy them. And then I think that you just need to stay put and allow the bank to sort of grow quarter on quarter as all of them have done, and then benefit from that.
Okay, this one is from Nayan Gandhi, and he is saying that he has 35 shares of CreditAccess Grameen Bank, which he's purchased at 422 rupees per share. He wants to know whether he should continue to hold on to the counter or sell the counter. What's your take, Kunal, on this particular stock, CreditAccess Grameen Bank?
So, if I look at the formation on this counter, it's been again a sideways consolidation, and we saw some kind of traction coming in the counter since day before yesterday. It made a bottom at around 630 and now it's bouncing up. But again, not really attractive to even play for the momentum. For time being, you can hold on to it. Once the counter reaches say around 740, think of exiting. I think the breakout for this counter is placed above 785 to 790. We may then think of re-entering the same. But for time being, the symmetrical triangle may turn out to be like time consuming. So take an exit near to this 740 kind of zone.
Let's talk about HDFC Life, Sharmila, and this is a counter that had a stellar run at the start, and now it's pretty much sideways over the last several months. But of course, a lot of people say that it's a play for the long term again. Abhay is asking whether he should buy at this juncture.
Yes, so as you said that this sort of stock has again been sort of not doing much over these last 2-3 months. But I think the thing that we really need to understand is that this whole pandemic situation has put life insurance back in focus, and I think many more people are taking insurance far more seriously than they would have done a couple of years ago. And a couple of years ago, when you sort of recommended this stock, the theory was, of course, that India is an under-penetrated market in terms of insurance. So that theory, I think, still holds good. Plus, I think now there is an increased appetite for insurance, and HDFC has a brand name, which you cannot deny. They are obviously trading at a slightly higher valuation than their peer set, but that I think is a given. So it all depends on what you're holding. Sort of, if you have like an 18 to 24 months sort of a holding period in mind, then definitely I think HDFC Life is a stock that you can look at. What I normally recommend is that you buy a basket of life insurance stocks. So you buy HDFC Life, SBI Life, and ICICI Pru Life, because each of the stocks has something unique to it and to sort of recommend it. That I leave up to you. But of course, I think HDFC Life is a name that I like within that.
This one is from Nino Kuruvilla and wants a short-term view on advanced enzymes. Kunal, how does this particular counter look on a chart in case someone is looking to invest in? Does it make sense? And if someone is already invested in it, how are the prospects looking like over the shorter term?
So again, Cheryl, right from the beginning of May till now, the counter is just hovering near to this 390s, 390 to 400 kind of zone. In between, there was a spike on the higher side at the end of May where it went up to almost 500, but again sideways consolidation. I would really not be keen to look at this counter unless it breaks the high of say at least 425 kind of zone. And for time being, if at all an investor is comfortable holding it for longer period of time, risk reward ratio is certainly favorable. So keep the stop off around 395 and buy at this level itself. It's just a matter of $7 on the lower side. But if at all you're comfortable holding for longer term, then only this bet is good for you. Otherwise, wait for the momentum to begin, and I think momentum will emerge after once the counter crosses 420, 425 kind of mark. So both the views, risk reward ratio favorable as of now, but momentum is missing.
Kunal, the fundamental basis to buy CDSL has been made repeatedly. The question is, on the charts, based on the kind of run that we've seen over the last 6 months, it's been absolutely stellar. Would you say that there's still room at this point, and should you enter at this juncture, or should you wait a little bit for a correction? Is that too dangerous? Is it heading for new highs?
So, Alex, we have been speaking about same kind of theory since long, that once the trend emerges, this can continue to end levels. And predicting the top and the bottom is not actually, the perfect way to approach the market during this madness in the liquidity kind of market. So yes, if I were to look at the charts, had it been a discussion say a couple of days back when the counter made high at around 1500, I would have said let's wait for some kind of correction to come in. What we saw was the counter made a high of around 1575. From there it came down and made a bottom of around 1280, and in today's session it's showing some kind of reversal again. So yes, from short-term perspective, risk-reward ratio is extremely attractive. Keep the stop loss of around 1280 and initiate the buy today itself. This rally may just continue because the last rally which we saw was from 1000 to 1580, right? So on that we are getting the correction of around 50% of that last on the terms of retracement. This looks attractive, but again, likewise what we discussed about metals, on correction we can think of adding. Similarly goes with CDSL. As of now, it's in correction. We can think of initiating a buy, and let's hold on to this, this mega rally which is just seen on the counter. Let's not book our profits. Keep trailing the stop loss. That can be the best approach on such counters.
Okay, this query is coming in from Sagar. He wants a fundamental view on Andhra Petrochemicals. He's bought 750 shares at a price of 21 rupees per share. He himself is saying the stock has gone like a rocket in the last 3 months. Should I hold or exit? Sharmila, rightly so. That particular counter, if you see right now, is trading at around 160 odd levels. His buying price is 21 rupees per share. So what should Sagar do? Make sense to stay put in Andhra Petro? Does the fundamentals support it, or should he look to exit?
Yeah, so first of all, congratulations. He seems to have a multi-bagger on his hands. So that's always good to hear. And I was just quickly going through the valuations and numbers of Andhra Petro, and I'm absolutely comfortable. I think the kind of numbers they've given This quarter numbers are still to come, but up to March, the last 2-3 quarters, the kind of numbers the company has been able to report, the profitability, the increase in EPS, the valuations it's trading at as compared to its sector, everything gives me comfort. So I think he can definitely hold on. But since he's got at a low price, maybe he can fix some price in his head that if it goes below this, then I could sell. Maybe you could get a technical view on that. But as far as I'm concerned, I think this is definitely a stock that you can hold on to.
Kunal, coming to you on Prince Pipes, 675. Wait, I'm not actually sure about what exactly Super CNC Bala is bought at, but he's looking for a long-term view on the stock. Would you say that he should hold on?
See, again, Alex, we saw a massive rally in the Pipes, and the entire building material construction kind of stocks have given crazy returns, right? So, if I were to just speak about, say, August levels, it was trading at around 120, and now it's trading at around 680s. And it's been now in sideways consolidation since May. Again, the bottoms are at 640 itself, and the highs are at around 760. So, in this consolidation, if you're getting See, the price wise correction is a pain, but time wise correction is absolutely fine from investors' perspective, right? So hold on to it. I think till the time this counter remains above 740 zone approximately, then I think there is no problem. This sideways consolidation may then enter into a trend continuation itself. So yes, so far absolutely no problem on this, and this can be held on for longer period of time also. Just keep one level in mind, and that's 640. Below 640, our view may change.
All right, this one is coming in from Rajat. He wants a technical view on Rain Industries. He's holding around 80 shares, which he's purchased at 201 rupees per share. He wants to add some more of this counter, but he wants to know what sort of a price that he should look at to increase his exposure to Rain Industries. Kunal, what's your take on this counter? How are the charts looking, and when can Rajat look to add more?
So, Cheryl, March 2020 counter is making bottom at around 44-45 zone, and right now it's trading at 265. A clear outperformer. The entire sector turned out to be like that, and this counter is not an exception. Clear higher top, higher bottom formations. Entry is at around 210 kind of zone, approximately, right? So, in that case, the counter is still making higher top, higher bottom. Please hold on to it. But at this level, I would not really suggest a new entry. Let the counter come down by, say, at least 5-10%, right? So we have a favorable risk reward ratio. We can think of adding the same. So as of now, onto your positions which are on, you can hold on to it. Keep the approximate stop loss at around 240 zone. That's a very near term, short term target stop loss. If the counter reaches near to those low levels and if reverses, we may then think of adding even more into it. But for time being, don't add at this level. This is not a risk reward favorable kind of level for Rain Industries.
Okay, Luke is asking whether the Nifty 50 can reach 15,900 this week. I think I can take a guess at that. It looks a little unlikely at this point. 100 points in the remainder of today's session is looking just a tad bit difficult. But there's another question coming in. This is for you, Sharmila. The airline industry, is it a good idea to buy at this juncture, considering that we're perhaps towards the fag end of the impact of COVID-19, hopefully, based on what we're seeing across the globe? And would you say that this is now the bottom and you can buy now?
People planning, I think that's obviously, as you said, a positive thing for the airline sector. Because as we are witnessing around us, more people are taking flights, more people are going for holidays. So these are obviously the economy, the whole pandemic situation ending and economy opening up kind of trades to play. The big factor I think that goes, which is a negative for this sector, would be the price crude is at, because for them that's a big cost, and that has been on a spiral. That has been on sort of an upward journey, not a spiral, but crude prices have been moving up, and that could be a deterrent. But that said, I think it's going to be more sentiment driven at this point in time. While I'm not a fan of really airline stocks or aviation as a space, in the Indian context, maybe SpiceJet is a stock that you could look at as an opening upgrade.
Okay, this one is from Rajiv. He's saying that he has 800 shares of Engineers India, which he's purchased at 101 rupees per share. He wants to know what's the prospect for the next 2 to 3 years, and he wants to know, is it worth switching to sugar or ethanol exposed stocks, and if so, which one? Sharmila, what should Rajiv do? Stay put with Engineers India? Does it make sense over the next 2 to 3 years, or should he look to switch to sugar and ethanol based stock, given that the government focus on that particular sector is quite a lot?
The thing is that we are talking about a completely different thing. So I don't know whether we should say either or. I mean, if he wants to take an exposure for the ethanol, then that's a completely different thinking. Because again, ethanol has been a story that we've been talking of forever, and every time we do that, the stock prices move up, and then we don't really mix to the percentage levels that we've been talking about. So maybe this time things should be different. Coming to engineers, India is sort of a niche play, within that sort of market. So if he wants to stay invested in engineers, India, he has to allow for that to play out in the coming years. So I think there are two completely different things. If he's a long-term investor, I would suggest that he should stay invested in engineers.
I think we're having a little bit of an issue with your feed. My colleagues will try and reconnect right now. Kunal, I'm going to come to you and we'll stick with you for a little while. I want to start with REC Limited. We've got Luke, who's bought 1,000 shares at levels of 126. Should he hold on?
So again, if I look at this entire formation, it's been sideways consolidation right from end of May so far, and the formation on the chart is looking like, say, symmetrical triangle formation. So yes, you can definitely hold on to it. There is no negativity. In fact, even if I look at, say, April bottom, it's making a clear higher bottom itself. So hold on to it. But the momentum on this counter will begin once this counter crosses, say, 155, 156 kind of mark. So hold on to it. I think on the breakout, the counter may show you around 170 kind of zone. And that's going to be a steep resistance. So make sure that if you have taken the bet for short term, then you exit near those levels also.
Okay, this one is from Matthew John, and he wants to know about Webel Global. He wants to know whether it makes sense to hold this particular counter over the longer term in the portfolio. Sharmila, is Webel Global worth the long-term portfolio multi-banger kind of a tag, and should Matthew actually look to add on to this particular counter in his portfolio?
I'm sorry, I didn't get what price he actually bought it at. But in any case, I think, hold what you have and don't really add on for the shares.
Fair enough. All right. We've got Minakshi Kunal asking about Philips Carbon. Buy price is 248. I believe it's doing reasonably well for itself, about 4% higher in trade today. What's the prognosis for the near to medium term?
So again, very clear higher top higher bottom formation, and the recent breakout on the chart was at around 247 with the target of 280s. Right now counter is trading at around 276. So I would not really be keen to at this level. So if our viewer is already holding the counter, please stay on to it. 280 is the medium term, the short term target. Probably you may see some kind of retracement coming in, but the trend is really awesome. Keep adding on every decline. In fact, if I were to speak about, say, the trend, these are the kinds of trend which I always look out for my portfolio investments. So hold on to it. There is no problem on the counter. Short-term target 280, and the positional target based on the Fibonacci ratios can be around 315 to 320.
All right. That's the take coming in from Kunal. All right, moving on. This one is from Sayak Sen Gupta. He wants a view on Tanla Platforms. Is it the right time to consider entering this particular counter? Kunal, what's your take on Tanla Platforms?
Cheryl, we had a dream run in this counter right from 40 rupees. It went up to almost 1000. And, this is a counter where there are either upper circuits or lower circuits. And it's been now almost since March so far, the counter is in sideways consolidation. So I would not really be keen to even look at this counter for time being. Number one is that the counter has rallied too much. And number two is that the sideways consolidation, the momentum is missing. And number three is that even if I were to think of adding, I may not be able to manage my risk because of those circuit problems. So I would clearly I would really suggest to stay away from this counter for time being. If at all, by any chance, the counter reaches near to the 750 mark, we may think of then relooking at with some kind of stop loss in our mind. But at this level, it's a clear avoid.
Okay, coming to you, Kunal, quickly on your high risk and low risk ideas. What are they today?
So first, Alex, we are going to discuss about SW Solar. It's the counter which rallied from 245 levels to almost 296, and the volumes are pretty high. If I look at the all-time high, that's around 750 during IPO listing itself, and the counter is now in consolidation, coming out of that consolidation. With good volume activities, I think it's a very good buy from mid-term to long-term perspective also. Keeping the stop loss of around 280, we expect the target mid-term target of around 330 with say 15 to 20 days in mind, and it's a very low risk idea. And the second is Tata Steel BSL. I'm picking from metal segment itself. Yesterday we saw a bounce on this counter, sideways consolidation, 2 months breakout, the highest volume recorded since May so far. And this breakout I think is gonna take the stock to at least to 110 levels. Keeping the stop loss of around 90, we initiate this call with the time frame of around 1 month in mind. Again, it's a very low risk idea.
All right, and Sharmila, what are your high risk and low risk ideas for the viewers?
I have a lower risk idea, and that's Gland Pharma. What we're really seeing in pharmaceuticals as a space is that it's again sort of moving in a zone, and the other stocks in other sectors like steel, etc., seem to have found favor. But if you look at Gland Pharma and the kind of numbers that it delivered this quarter, that gives me a lot of confidence. And also the fact that they are going to, they are increasing their market share to the rest of India. The US market stays strong. Then, their whole complex products pipeline is showed, that pipeline is very strong. So that's going to play out really well for them going ahead. And of course, I think, their remdesivir and, the COVID-related medicines are also adding to their numbers in these coming quarters. So I would recommend a buy on it with a target of 1,400 with a 12 to 18 month kind of horizon.
All right, on that note, thank you so much, Sharmila, as well as Kunal, for joining in. Wish you all the best for the rest of today and also a happy weekend. We're slipping into a short break. More on the other side. Do stay tuned.